June is an incredible time in gaming, with countless showcases revealing new upcoming games. There are many great ones to keep an eye on. No matter if you love games with chaotic combat, games with a beautiful world to explore, or games that you can bond with your friends, I believe there will be something that will spark your interest. So today I've comprised 10 great games I'm looking forward to in 2025 and beyond, and hopefully they will all run on the Steam Deck. Let's check it out. So let's start out with Raidou Remastered: The Mystery of the Soulless Army. Raidou Remastered: The Mystery of the Soulless Army is going to be released on June 18th. Now, as far as Raidou, I personally have not played it back in 2006. As far as this game goes, the reason I'm interested in it is because I love games from Atlus. I loved playing Persona 5 Royal. I loved playing Persona 4 Golden. I really enjoyed Metaphor ReFantazio, so it is safe to say that I really want to try out Raidou since it is also released by Atlus. Now, as far as the game goes, obviously I haven't played it, so I cannot give a detailed information of the story and settings, but based on my research about the game, take it with a grain of salt. This game, there's a girl who basically contacts the detective agency, and where she has this weird, unusual, bizarre request to have someone to actually kill her, and where suddenly she just disappears based on a kidnap, and where you as Raidou must do your job to investigate the mystery behind the kidnapping and the disappearance of the girl, and have to enter this place called the Dark Realm. Now, as far as the game goes, at first it just seems like solving this problem concerning an individual who got kidnapped and disappears, but all of a sudden this kind of problem just led to a more serious problem, and where it just escalates into a conspiracy that basically affects the whole nation. So you as Raidou must do all it takes to protect the nation. Now, though I know that it is not a turn-based game unlike Persona or Metaphor, but at the same time I feel like I'm really interested in the game. I'm really interested in the characters, the development, and the story and whatnot. So yeah, it is something in which I am most likely interested to check out and stuff. Once again, Raidou Remastered: The Mystery of the Soulless Army is going to be released on June 18th. Now, up next is Dungeons & Dragons Neverwinter Nights 2 Enhanced Edition. Dungeons & Dragons Neverwinter Nights 2 Enhanced Edition is going to be released on July 15th, and this game was originally released back in 2006. Now, as far as this game goes, it looks like a really fun RPG game that is based on, you know it, Dungeons & Dragons 3.5 Edition rule set. Now, as far as me goes, my personal history with Dungeons & Dragons, I personally never really got the chance to play Dungeons & Dragons, although I really am interested in it because as a kid I really loved pretend play and loved video games, so why not have a mixture of both of them by playing Dungeons & Dragons. However, I never had the chance to because primarily I did not have friends that were interested to commit those type of extensive lengths of gameplay sessions to play a campaign. And even today I now have friends who like games like the way I do love playing games and playing it with other friends, but for the most part my friends, they like more of those co-op or multiplayer games. They like to play still on the screen and not so much the tabletop games, so that is something that I never really get too much exposure with. Hopefully Dungeons & Dragons Neverwinter Nights 2 Enhanced Edition will be able to play on the Steam Deck. Once again, Dungeons & Dragons Neverwinter Nights 2 Enhanced Edition is going to be released on July 15th. Now, up next is Lost Soul Aside. Lost Soul Aside is going to be released on August 29th, and it is a really cool, flashy action game that I find really exciting and cannot wait to definitely check out. In this game, you get to engage in an important mission to save your little sister as well as humanity from an unknown invasion where the invaders come from a different dimension. Now, as far as Lost Soul Aside goes, there are plenty of enemies to fight in a beautiful world where you get to hopefully roam and explore, as well as there are also interesting boss encounters that you get to engage with. Now, as far as Lost Soul Aside goes, it is a game that really gets me intrigued. I feel like it is a game in which there potentially will be a whole bunch of great lore to the game, and that is something that I really love because as a gaming nerd, I really love to experience and understand what's going on in the game, what's going on with the characters, what's going on in the overall arc of the the game, the settings, the prequel, and whatnot, what leads to the current events of the game. I love all that, and I really feel that Lost Souls aside, it brings about this vibe that potentially there will be a great lore to the game. Again, it is something in which I am not sure, but that is something in which it really feels like having the aesthetics and vibes of it. Now, as far as Steam Deck compatibility goes, I feel like it will possibly be able to run on the Steam Deck, as the main requirements of the games is honestly not too demanding. But again, we shall wait and see. Once again, Lost Soul aside is going to be released on August 29th. Now, up next is Directive 8020. Directive 8020 is going to be released on October 2nd, and it is a sci-fi horror game with survival elements to it. In this game, you and your crew must defeat this alien living kind of species where the species can actually imitate your movesets and whatnot, and where you must do all it takes to obviously fight, survive, and make your way back home. Now, as far as Directive 8020 goes, what's cool about it is that there are various story junctions which will lead to different types of endings as well as consequences, and where you must deal with different tough situations where it will be really emotional at times with the game. But anyways, looks like a deep game with a rich story, and hopefully it will run on the Steam Deck, but we shall wait and see. Once again, Directive 8020 is going to be released on October 2nd. Now, up next is Ambrosia Sky. Ambrosia Sky is going to be released soon, and it is a first-person shooter action game where your job is to basically clean up an area which has had a deadly contamination. Now, in this game, you play as Delia, who is a space disaster specialist, where you go about using your gun to clean up the tremendous amount of fungus and infections all across the area, as well as throughout the game, it looks like you're gonna also bring peace to those who died from the crisis, as well as research about the bizarre history and lore behind the contamination, as well as make it back out alive. Now, as far as whether or not Ambrosia Sky will run on the Steam Deck, there's actually a demo out that is free to download in case you want to try to see if it works on the Steam Deck, but I believe that personally it will work on the Steam Deck because it doesn't look too demanding of a game. I feel like there are a lot of games that has a similar type of aesthetics and it doesn't look too demanding, and I feel like there shouldn't be a problem, but we shall wait and see. Once again, Ambrosia Sky is going to be released soon. Now, up next is Guns Undarkness. Now, though on the Steam store page, Guns Undarkness says it's going to be released sometime in 2025, but the producer actually said that in an update that it's going to be released sometime in 2026. Guns Undarkness is a command battle JRPG game that actually is developed by Shoji Meguro. In case you don't know who Shoji Meguro is, he is the director for the Persona games as well as the Shin Megami Tensei games. Now, as far as Guns Undarkness goes, this game draws the feel of Metal Gear Solid as well as the Persona games. In this game, you get to customize various firearms, build relationships with others, as well as control a protagonist with up to 3 other party members. In Guns of Undarkness, you are navigating a world that takes place in 2045 where humanity is on the edge of destruction, and you will have to undertake punishing, merciless missions where they could be very dangerous and deadly as well. Now, as far as the game goes, like the Persona games, there is downtime in the game where you and your team will be able to go to your hideout and where you can engage in various side quests, visit different shops, as well as, more importantly, upgrade your gear. I'm really interested to see how Shoji Meguro will make this game to turn out to be. I really loved the Persona games really much, and as far as Guns Undarkness goes, I really feel, based on my research, that this is going to be a more mature game. And what I mean by more mature game is not the rating of the game, because Persona games are rated as M. But what I'm saying by more mature means by the content, the story setting, and all of that. As much as I really love Persona 5, as much as I really love Persona 4, the one thing that I kind of dislike, it's not a make or break, but I kind of dislike a little bit, is the high school life. Because for me, in case you don't know, I'm somebody in the 30s. So I more relate to people that are older. I don't really relate too much with people that are minors. Now I understand that there are things that I can learn from minors, but that's a whole different point. As far as the game's content goes, I am more inclined to favor content where the characters are more closer to my age, where there is more of a mature type of feel to it, a more mature type of theme to it. In Guns Undarkness, you are part of a military company. You are not a high schooler from what I researched. So that is a theme in itself where it is more mature in my opinion compared to the Persona games where it centers around high school and stuffs. But anyways, Guns Undarkness will release sometime in 2026. Now up next is Far Far West. Far Far West release date is still TBA, and it looks like a fun, chaotic first-person shooter co-op game that you can play with up to 3 other friends. Now, as far as this game goes, you and your friends get to embark in, you know it, a trip to the far, far west. And where in this game, you and your friends play as robotic cowboys, where you go about collecting various bounties, as well as blast chaotically at various monsters, clear various missions, and so forth. It looks like a really fun, chaotic game that you and your friends can enjoy, and there's also a beautiful world to engage in and whatnot. Hopefully Far Far West will be able to run on the Steam Deck, as it looks like a really fun game to definitely engage in. Once again, Far Far West, as far as the release date goes, it is still TBA. Now up next is Pathfinder Abomination Vaults. Pathfinder Abomination Vaults is a chaotic co-op hack and slash game in which you and up to 3 other friends get to play as Pathfinder heroes on the mission to defeat the evil sorceress and put an end to her wicked schemes. Now, as far as Pathfinder Abomination Vaults goes, it looks like a really beautiful world to explore with flashy, chaotic enemies to fight, as well as there are various biomes with various types of different varieties of different enemies that you get to encounter along the way and get to engage in combat, as well as various bosses that are interesting to tackle as well. Now, as far as this game goes, what's really cool about it is that it appears, based on my research, that you can switch between various roles and control different heroes simultaneously during the mid-game. So that is something that I find really interesting, and it will be a really fun game, I believe, to play with friends or even potentially by myself. Now, as far as whether or not Pathfinder Abomination Vaults will run on the Steam Deck, I don't feel like there will be a problem for it to run on the Steam Deck. It doesn't feel too graphically demanding based on my research, based on how it is presented, but we shall wait and see. Once again, Pathfinder Abomination Vaults, as far as the release date goes, it is still TBA. Now, up next is Den of Wolves. Den of Wolves, as far as release date goes, it is still TBA. Den of Wolves is a co-op heist first-person shooter game created by 10 Chambers. In case you don't know who 10 Chambers Studios is, they also created Payday the Heist, GTFO, to name a few. In this technology action first-person shooter co-op game, you and your friends get to play as shady adults who are hired due to various disputes with various corporations in Midway City. Now, as far as the game goes, it is a really fun game filled with chaotic fights as well as surprising ambushes and whatnot. Now, as far as Den of Wolves goes, will it run on the Steam Deck? I believe that it will potentially run in some kind of shape or form, especially because with 10 Chambers, they have a really great track record of their games running on the Steam Deck, so I feel like there could be a chance that Den of Wolves will be able to run on the Steam Deck. But again, we shall wait and see. Once again, Den of Wolves, as far as the release date goes, it is still TBA. Alright, last but not least, Cyberthreat. Cyberthreat, as far as the release date goes, it is still TBA, and Cyberthreat is a upcoming turn-based JRPG game with life simulation elements in it. In this game, you get to play as a senior in high school, where in the daytime, you act as a normal student, and where in the evening you are on an important mission to battle the forces of cyberspace. The game is full of promises. As far as the game goes, the developers said that there will be 20 plus chapters of the game, as well as there will be 10 potential party members, as well as 25 plus contacts where you can interact with them and where it will unlock different stories and many more. What's also cool about Cyberthreat is that you will be able to decide who you want to be. You can choose between whether you want to be a male MC or do you want to be a female MC. Now, as far as Cyberthreat goes, why am I really excited? The number one reason in which I'm really excited for Cyberthreat is because it really looks like the Persona 5 vibes. And as far as Cyberthreat goes with the promise of 20 plus chapters, as well as all the different party members and the different contacts where you can unlock different stories, learn more about the characters and whatnot, it really gives me this incentive to really want to try it out. I'm really interested in the story side as well as the combat side. It's just something that really interests me. Anyway, Cyberthreat, as far as the release date goes, it is still TBA. Alright friends, these are 10 great games in which I'm looking forward to in 2025 and beyond. Let me know in the comment section below, are there any upcoming games in 2025 and beyond in which you are excited for? We'll love to discuss in the comment section below. And as always, if you love gaming lists, gaming reviews, gaming discussions, and everything related to the Steam Deck, please feel free to like, comment, and subscribe so you'll not miss another video. I try to post Mondays and Fridays around 6 p.m. Pacific time, so stay tuned. Once again, my name is Joey for the Nomadic Gaming Guild, and game on!